Hi, it's Erica and welcome again to another DemoPlus, and today I'm going to show you how I created this journal page using a stencil, and this is the one, and the stencil is by the Crafters Workshop and it's a Zenspirations design inspired journaling. So it's faith journaling, Bible journaling stencil, and it's got the lighthouse, birds, and thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, and for some reason a tortoise. Don't know about that one, but I haven't used the tortoise yet, but I do love that lighthouse. So let's get started. So I started off with a piece of craft card and I painted it with my favourite colour of the moment, the Fresco finish Midnight, just because it's not as harsh as a black, but it's as dark. You could just work with an ordinary piece of dark card, so that stage would be up to you whether or not you wanted to do it. So I've got my dark card here, and then I'm going to put down my stencil. Move those out of the way, because I'm going to start working with the paints. So the nice thing about stencils is you don't have to use it as it is. Like I said, not using the tortoise, not quite sure what it's there for, but I'm going to use the lighthouse, the words, and the seagulls, but I'm going to do them in a different kind of position, because as you can see, if I want my lighthouse there, the words are overlapping. So first of all, I'm going to concentrate just on the lighthouse. First of all, I'm going to paint it with Fresco finish in Snowflake, the white, give it a shake. Now with stenciling, I think I've mentioned it before, but with stenciling you use very small amounts of paint and build up, rather than try and load a lot of paint on it and then it all go wrong. So when I'm kind of forcing the paint into the sponge, so it'll be there for when I apply it to the stencil. And you see I'm not getting a heavy coat first of all, but that doesn't matter because it's going to have two coats anyway. The reason I'm putting white down first is because it will make the other colours stand out, especially if you're using a translucent colour. On black or dark colours you will need a white colour underneath for them to stand out, otherwise they will just disappear into the background. So just, you can see it's quite quick, quite easy. The nice thing is when you're applying thin layers, you don't get it being wet for too long. So there we go, that's the stencil done. So we'll put that to one side because we need it again. Now, if you can see on this one, there's like a halo effect created by the light. So it's so easy to do this, but you kind of need this bit down first to enable you to place it. So now I know it's got to be around there. I'm just taking a bit of the white paint on my finger, and then I'm just starting from the centre and radiating out, and you can see you can build up the glow, but always start at the centre and working out, because you don't want heavy paint on the outside, you want it on the inside going out. So a little bit more, I'll start on further out so I can drag it out further. It's quite nice that you can really see it gradually creeping outwards. Take a little bit off and then just keep going, graduating it out. Then when you're happy, oh, didn't mean to do that. Start again from the centre going outwards. There we go. picked it up again. All is fine. It's quite nice if you've got a couple of, on the tip of your finger, if you've got a couple of lines around the outside. Right, so that is our light. Just need to let that dry for a minute, and then I'm going to go over in Zesty Zing. So one moment while I just take this away to dry. So you can see we've got the white down and the lighthouse has disappeared, but no problem. If I just put some of the yellow paint down, and we'll do the second layer. Mix it with a little bit of white, it's a bit bright. Let's have a little bit more white. And again, we're working in the same way, start from the centre and radiating out. This time we don't have to be as perfect because we can mix the white and yellow light together. A little bit of yellow down there. Right, just quickly give that a blast with a heat gun, ever so quickly. Right, there we go. So I'll need the yellow later, so I shall leave that on there. But now I want to reintroduce that lighthouse. So we just put this back on top, making sure you get it in the right place. Nothing worse than getting a double shadow at this point. Now I'm going to carefully pick some of that white. And now what we're going to do is we're going to re-go over it. This is the lovely thing about acrylic paint, is it's about layers and you can build it up, and this is how you get your lovely intensity and layering of colours. Obviously if it was a water-based paint, well, say water-based, but if it was like watercolour, you know, you wouldn't be able to do this because the underlayer would come off as well. So acrylics being waterproof once they're dry is perfect for this job. Okay, I think we're done. And now you see it's all come back up again. So you can see where the light is. Right, so now while I think it's, well, let's go quick blast. No, better to be safe than sorry. Right, so now I want to get the words down. I'll need a little bit more of the white again. I don't dare take any more from that yellow. And we want to place it. So obviously the line is helpful because that means it's straight, which is always useful. There we go. And again, now with wording it's really important that you don't overload your sponge. So it's almost fill it and then dab a lot of it off, because there's nothing worse than it being all blobby. I mean, there are ways around it, so I shall show you later if any of it goes wrong. Just a case of really lightly laying down the paint, so you can always lift it up on one corner. If you can see that, you can lift it up one corner and see where it's not got enough paint. This is quite a delicate word. I could have used a 3D grunge paste or something, and then it would have been instantly there. But there we go. Always think about these things after I've done it. arm's starting to ache now. Keep going. Right, and just that and, literally. And we're done. So there we go, there's the words. And then I'm just going to put the seagulls up the top, because even though it's dark, I think they would still be guided in by that light. Right, so that's all my stenciling done. There's a couple of things I want to do now. If, like, for any reason, if you're not happy with how that stenciling has come out, no reason why you can't, with a white pen, just go over it all. And then that really brings it back up. So I'm just going to do that as soon as I started. So there we go, it stands out much better now. If I'd have made any blobs, I could always have gone around with my pen and shadowed. And also, if there's any bits that you weren't happy with, you could always have used the pen to block it out. So that's a handy tip to know. The next thing, I wanted to do the rocks, and I'm going to use the Sharpie for this, just because it'll put them down quicker. So I'm going to start with that there, and then go across there using the lines that are already there. And then really I'm just going to do some jagged sort of shapes, like the light coming down will be catching the light on the rock. So it's nothing too technical, just a few jaggy scratchy lines. And then if they're not strong enough, I will go in afterwards and add some extra. I'm going to put a little bit more oomph in my seagulls. And then with a black pen, give them some shadow as well. Only where it's catching on against the light, so they stand out. There we go. With a white gel pen, you can pick up the light a little bit more. But again, this is all faffing, and it depends how much you want to do. Right, so we've got all of that down now. I'm now going to use London Bus, which is the red, and I'm going to hand paint some of the areas. Doesn't seem as scary as it sounds. I mean, literally you could put the stencil back down and re-sponge through, but because it's every other one, I thought it would just be easier to do it by hand. So I'm just going to take a little spritz of water to it. And then just paint these areas in. Okay, so there we are. That's all the painting done, and obviously it's it's not very defined up there. So I used my trusty Derwent Inktense pencil. I can't say that for some reason. And I just went around the outline. And this time, although it's a watercolour pencil, I'm going to leave the line. I like that kind of scratchy line that it leaves. So we'll just do that like so. And then you can see it really just does bring together the whole design. And then I'll just use it for some shading on the sides, but like I said, leaving the line, not using water on it. You could if you wanted to, but I just like that as a change. So there we go. There's our finished journal page, and it didn't take too long to create either. So thank you for watching.